Hey ladies and gentlemen, Javier here with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of spirituality, mysticism, and philosophy to rapid lifestyle transformation. And ladies and gentlemen, I was just going over the financial news here, as I do often, because I do deal in financial markets and I'm interested in economics and the economy and so on. And the headline here is the great student loan non-payment boondoggle is over and household spending is about to collapse. So basically the Biden administration put student loan repayments on an emergency pause. That's about to expire, ladies and gentlemen, which means that people are going to have to start making payments on their student loans again. These student loans for mostly silly, unnecessary degrees that are way overpriced, and we know the university racket and so on. We can talk about that in another video. Also, there was an agreement announced on Saturday by uniparty leaders Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy titled the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which prohibits the Biden administration from extending the pause on student loan repayments in place since March 2020. So basically, these loan repayments are going to have to be suspended, and in order to save the economy from collapsing into a downright depression, that ought to happen according to natural economics and Austrian economics that's long overdue. Both Republican and Democratic leaders will continue to kick the can down the road, but in order to do that, they're going to have to drastically raise taxes, and they're going to have to stop a lot of the government subsidies and so on and so forth, which is going to harm the lowest economic-wise members of the society. And of course, this is always the case. The lower classes end up paying for the mistakes of the elite, and they don't understand this. So, added on to this is that according to polls and so on and so forth, household spending is collapsing. They're saying that just due to a lack of confidence, consumers are already cutting back, companies are reporting major losses, and this is a trend that's going to continue. Imagine the impact and the hit that the student loan issue is going to have. Added to that, a very erudite gentleman, whom I won't name, has predicted now that in the next 3 days or so there are going to be some major economic collapses. And while we're not predicting that in that time frame, this is going to happen soon. It has to happen soon, ladies and gentlemen, according to the laws of economics, according to just the laws of physics, because all of these do fall under economic law. How does that concern us on this channel? Because we're not a political channel. We're not necessarily an economic channel, although I'm not afraid to go into these topics, and I will go into these topics to help familiarize our audience. It also ties into just our on-the-ground efforts to radically transform our lifestyles, to become independent from a boss, which I'm telling you that we're going to have to do within the next 6 months to a year, and that's late. We are going to have to become independent of a boss. We are going to have to be our own bosses, because that's the only way that we're going to somewhat survive the wreckage of this economically. But even more important than this, ladies and gentlemen, and which trumps all this, is the spiritual and philosophical principles which we teach in this channel. I remember a great friend of mine, with whom I used to discuss these issues often years ago, told me a story about Joel Goldsmith, who was a great spiritual teacher in the United States during the Depression. And he was apparently a practitioner during the Depression. And one day he was so poor he could not even afford food. But he said, he went within himself and he meditated and he said, I am the bread and I am the wine. And he basically just stayed with that feeling that our good comes from within. Our bread and wine and meat is from within. And then, this is a true story, he was on the street and he was walking down and he saw a box probably on one of the medians on the roadside. And it ended up being a box of fresh donuts and some orange juice. And this was ironic because it's sort of related to bread and wine and so on. But the point, there are many more stories about great spiritual teachers. Another one about Joel Goldsmith is that when he had no money and he went within again and he started to evoke that spirit, that feeling, what we call in this channel state. And then all of a sudden, people who had not paid for his practice, for his healing visits, they sent him money, and they had not paid for months. And just out of the blue, they sent him money. These are, and I have testimonies in my personal life for this, and perhaps we'll go into this. And this also goes into how we were aiming our videos at the less fortunate. So on this for everybody, that when you go on the spiritual, and when you snap into that state, physical and visible things happen on the outside due to your state on the inside. That's the whole point of the spiritual. But you cannot be seeking the physical with the spiritual. That's the irony. That's the paradox. And we did do a video on paradox and how important that is to understanding these philosophical and spiritual modalities. The reason I use current events, not only for the segment of our channel where we talk about the nitty-gritty of rapid lifestyle transformation and what you can do on the ground, and this is also what we focus on in this channel, but we do that more for a reinforcement of your state and for fun. We do not do that saying that as a result of your activities you're going to get some good on the outer. That relates to that. But it also relates to, these news stories relate to, how it's becoming a matter of importance, how it's becoming a matter of urgency, if I say this, and also watch taking words, because words are never the thing. They never fully explicate the thought or the vibration, but they can simply point to it and approximate it. So when I say urgency, don't think of that in terms of now trying to escape a negative emotion, because that's not what we mean. What we mean is, if you continue to abide on the outer, and you continue to live as solely a materialist, and you continue to just depend on yourself and your own actions, well, ladies and gentlemen, the very structure of the economy and the structure of the society are evaporating before our eyes. These changes happen very often in the world. And we're just now seeing these major changes in our generation, but all generations have had them, and they've had to surpass them. It's part of the story of human evolution. But this time, because we're so interconnected, and due to the technological advancements, and due to the fact now that destruction and benefit can be more widespread with less effort due to the technical advances, it becomes a matter of urgency that we evolve more quickly and to higher levels. Whereas people could sort of take a turn in the physical and, for example, get off a farm and start working in a factory, so to speak, to surmount the change of the Industrial Revolution, now we're in the post-human. Now we're in the transhumanism revolution. And the only thing that's going to save you from that, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to be a lateral move. It's going to be a move within and on the inner. As another great spiritual teacher said, he said, the way out is through the floor. And metaphorically, he meant the way out is to retreat within. You can no longer escape by turning a corner or by going back, or even by going through. The only escape is to completely go within, to completely recognize and know that your focus is the ultimate. It is the divine. And when we say divine, we mean transcendent. The only thing that transcends all circumstances is your consciousness. And the mechanism by which you move your consciousness when you're in the duality of the observer and the observed is focus. I know Neville Goddard describes this as imagination, and he's indeed correct. But I like the term focus because it doesn't imply the limitations of imagination. Because imagination could be seen as only visual. And of course, the imagination in our course, focus, includes all faculties of the body and the sense. For example, to be in the state of, say, being in a beautiful room, I don't have to imagine sights or smells or hearing, but I can just give myself the sense of being in that room. And of course, we're going to do many more videos developing that, honing your skills in what we call mental rehearsal, which is the way of exercising your focus. But ladies and gentlemen, focus is the divine, and this is a film roll, but there are infinite film rolls. And when you realize that you are the one, you realize that all of the film rolls are within you. Therefore, you are the bread, you are the meat, you are the wine, and you are the water. And we can no longer focus upon the supply chains and the structures, the finite structures of the earthly, to continue to give us what they have been giving us, and continue to simply live in the material without focusing on the spiritual. No, we have to do this as a matter of priority and a matter of urgency. We have to enter within. We have to realize that our good is not without, as the Stoics spoke about. Nothing without can harm you or help you, because it is all an illusion. It is all an imagination. And once you realize the illusion, and you realize you can now direct your focus to summon any set of circumstances that you wish, and you truly believe that and know that through practicing it and through proving it to yourself, then you get out of what we call on this channel the prison grid. And the prison grid is simply a construct that is created by our own consciousness in which we imprison ourselves, because there's only one. But within the duality, there are individuals which have an interest in keeping everyone else ensnared in the prison grid in order to feed off their energy. Well, the only escape from that is realizing that you are the one and going within. So I point to these economic events and I point to these news stories as a reminder of how important it is to apply the principles that we give in this channel. And we daily release videos that teach you about the law of assumption, teach you about the law of attraction, teach you who you are and how to utilize your focus and how to go within for self-realization, and then to be able to manipulate the circumstances without to create the life you want, which is, after all, why we came. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot of interesting videos coming out this week, including more of the nuts and bolts of how to create your own lifestyle, of how to change your lifestyle, how to get off the prison grid, and how to stop being dependent on a handout from a boss. For many people, this is going to be a time of suffering, ladies and gentlemen, but for those of us who can take the tools and self-realize and get to work on creating our reality, this is going to be a fun ride, and we are going to end up on top of this. So ladies and gentlemen, with great love and appreciation, please subscribe and like to our channel if you enjoy our videos, because we are putting out daily material of great value. Also, we do have a Facebook group, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep that open. It's basically for master manifestors, where we dialogue with each other in order to come up with strategies and to advise each other on all of these issues. As well as I'm doing coaching calls, ladies and gentlemen. We already have several satisfied clients. I will take you step by step using my years of experience in business, in consulting, and my knowledge of these spiritual and philosophical materials to guide you by the hand in creating the lifestyle you want. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. With great love and appreciation, this is Javier, and we'll see you very soon.